Going on YouTube, Cloverbells here back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be building around Weezing for the regulationE format. So this is a sub request to the channel where you, the viewer, with your sub perk are able to request a Pokemon that we can build around, and the viewer this time chose Weezing just because, you know, they're trying to compete in some locals, some premier challenges in an upcoming regional, so they wanted to try Weezing, so we gave them a Weezing team, and now I'm going to showcase that squad and also just show you a second version of a Weezing team that I feel like could be, you know, good and solid, consistent, easy to pick up on. But overall, you know, just to understand, you know, the mechanics of Weezing, you know, before we even get into the building part, you know, with neutralizing gas, of course, you're able to pretty much cancel out, you know, a lot of Pokemon's abilities, right? But there are some exceptions to this rule, which is where the team building aspect comes into play. So for me, the easiest way to start out with Weezing is just to slap on these two. You have RoaringMoon and you have the FlutterMane. Why? Because the photosynthesis doesn't care about the neutralizing gas, right? So if you were to give the RoaringMoon a booster energy and then you lead it with the Weezing, it would still get the boost. It doesn't cancel it out, right? And then same exact reason for the FlutterMane. If it also had that, or if there was weather and you switched out the Weezing, then the FlutterMane would also still get the weather boost, okay? So to me, you always want to like start here, okay? And then, you know, just understanding what Weezing can do, like it's very physically bulky, right? So that's always a good thing because now you don't really need so much defense investment. You can pretty much put very minimal amount and start investing into something like your pretty much almost, if anything, max HP, right? And then a little bit of special defense just to make it super bulky and, you know, just have it stay on the field for an extended period of time. You know, alternate your protects with your leftovers. So this way you're getting passive recovery every single time and, you know, just to preserve its longevity, right? But the whole idea with Weezing is to be able to not only just cancel out abilities, but to also give some support moves like this with Will-O-Wisp and Taunt. This is the common support set for Weezing. And then you have a poisoned attack here, like either something like Gunk Shot, if you want a little, you know, very, very high damage, but a little bit of an accuracy roll, or you can have something like Sludge Bomb, which is, you know, 100% accurate, but of course 30 base, less damage, right? So it really just depends on you, the viewer, how you want to use your poison attack. But definitely want to consider Will-O-Wisp and Taunt. You know, these are things that can neuter a lot of physical attackers, like for example Landorus, an opposing RoaringMoon, or King Gambit, for example. These are Pokemon that don't want to be taking Will-O-Wisp because then they just don't do any damage for the rest of the game. And then Taunt, you know, you're able to just stop potential setup plays, stop Trick Room stuff, you know, that kind of things. You know, Taunt is really, really good for. You know, and it just overall like a very, very good Poke. But again, it's a little bit of a skill cap, right? I wouldn't give a Weezing team to like a beginner, okay? Just because it requires accurate positional play, right? And it does need you to pay attention to your Weezing because you don't want it to die so fast, right? Because then it's just like an empty slot there. But at the same time, you also have to understand that the Weezing isn't going to be doing that much damage, right? It is going to sit there. It is going to support. But in terms of like big damage, it's not going to be able to do that. But that's okay, right? Because your damage is going to be coming from your other slots, like these two Pokemon, for example. Okay? But how can we round up the rest of this team? So basically, you want to just consider what's strong and solid at the given meta, and even Pokemon that don't even use their abilities all that much. So like, for example, Iron Hands, you'll even see this on a lot of different Weezing teams just because Iron Hands doesn't care about this ability. We've been using Iron Hands this entire time, you know, without even using that ability so much, right? It's just a simple Assault Vest set, you know, with Fake Out, Wild Charge, Drain Punch, and then Heavy Slam. Something like this. This has always been the Iron Hand set. There's been some variances over the regulation formats with like Volt Switch, Ice Punch, whatever it is. Either way, you know, this Terrifier Iron Hands right now, you know, doesn't really care about Weezing. So it's always a welcomed addition to something like this. And then you already got 4 Pokemon, right? Now you just have 2 more slots, right? You can probably guess what we're going to be adding next. But before I even like finish a team like this, let's go into the tournament data and see what some of the top Weezing teams have been using as of this moment. All right, let's take a look. Okay, so let's actually look at a tournament today. This is a Spear Pillar cart tour, right, in preparation for Toronto. This tour is actually not done yet. There's one more round, but right away you can see two Weezings at the top right now. One at 4-0 and the other one at 3-1. So let's look at Arrow's team here. I think this is the Alex Underhill team, because I see the Rapid Strike Urshifu here, over here. And basically, yeah, so look at this. RoaringMoon, FlutterMane, like we said. Here's the knockoff Tailwind Breaking Swipe. Now, why would you put Breaking Swipe here? Because, you know, usually you want something like Landorus on teams like this, but there is no Landorus. So you need like some active form of Intimidate. And Breaking Swipe is really good for that reason. This is like an active version of Intimidate. And, you know, with the meta being so physical, right, this is a great way to, you know, use that or take advantage of that. So you got RoaringMoon and Stab Dragon. Breaking Swipe is going to hurt a lot, especially if you're Adamant Nature. So that means you're going to go Terra Poison here, right? Makes you know, not Terra Flying. Makes a lot of sense. Resist the fairy damage and then the fighting damage altogether. Then you have Rillaboom, Ogerpon, you know, the Grassy Glide boys. And then over here is Woodhammer. That makes sense. Now, why would you put Rillaboom on a Weezing team? Doesn't that take away its terrain? Doesn't matter, because, you know, you can always just reposition and switch out and then you get the terrain back. So it's totally fine. Same thing with the Urshifu. Like, yes, we understand about Unseen Fist and neutralizing gas, but again, it's Urshifu. You know, you still have Rillaboom, Urshifu. Fake out Surging Strikes is still very, very good. Okay, and then the choice specs FlutterMane with Power Gem is really good. Again, it's really strong into the Terra Fire Pokemon, like for example Iron Hands, or just another Heart Flame Mass Ogerpon, where you can just pretty much smash it with Power Gem. So that's also really good. But overall, this is a very, very nice, solid Weezing team. This is the Gunk Shot variant, right? As opposed to Sludge Bomb, but it still makes a lot of sense. Let's look at this one. Oscar here, also top 4, 3-1 with Volcarona, right? We had a video on Volcarona recently. And this is the Sludge Bomb variant. So again, just depends on you. But here's Breaking Swipe yet again. Here's Ogerpon, no Rillaboom this time. So you can pretty much opt for Follow Me, you know, redirection support. Here's the Landorus with the Ability Shield. So this is what I'm talking about, right? You can still put Landorus here, and you can probably guess we're gonna put that on our team as well. And then in this time around, you do have the option for Protect, right? Because there is no Choice Scarf here. So you can definitely do Protect and then Terra Water. So it's a pivot option. You know, just resist the ice damage, resist the water damage. This is a good Terra. And then you still have the pivot move of U-turn. So no Terra Blast, Terra Flying, but that's okay, right? And this is still also Terra Grass Iron Hands, so that's still okay. And then, like we said, here's the Terra Dragon Volcarona that, you know, me and Keanu, we built previously and had some pretty good success with. So this is another variant that you can consider with Weezing, okay? As we move forward. Let's look at another tour. So here's another one. This was the first place team with Weezing. And here's again, so this time the FlutterMane does come back here. And here's again, still Breaking Swipe. Okay, here's the Ability Shield Landorus. Now this one did opt for the Terra Flying, right? So Stomping Tantrum, Terra Blast, U-turn. So no Rock move, but you still get the access to Terra Flying, right? So Terra Blast, Terra Flying still present here. And it's interesting to know that you still kept the Breaking Swipe here. Along with the Landorus Intimidate. So that's also interesting. And this is the Gunk Shot variant, still Terra Ghost, Terra Fire Iron Hands, and here's the Water Ogerpon, right, with a Swords Dance variant as opposed to Follow Me, right? So this is an aggressive Ogerpon setup, right? But all in all, pretty good because, you know, you're already getting a special defense boost, and now you're having Intimidate support with Breaking Swipe. So let's try and set up here with Swords Dance, and now Ogerpon is looking pretty good, right? So this is another really, really good team from Deathloop, but you can kind of see the common cores already. Okay, this one is Osada, right? And more or less the same idea. This is a Rock Tomb Landorus for speed control. This one, again, another Swords Dance variant, right? But this one did not keep the Breaking Swipe. He went still with the Acrobatics and the Tailwind. So you still had that option as well. This is another first place team. Actually, was it first place? Let me see. Yeah, it was a first place team, so that's also pretty good. All right, Mr. Shrimp. So now we're gonna start seeing some variants as opposed to some of the more common stuff, right? So, you know, just to give you some options. So here we have Weezing. All right, there's the Ogerpon, FlutterMane, Iron Hands, right? This is again familiar core. No RoaringMoon, but instead we're going with the Dark Urshifu. Right, and then here's Mamoswine as opposed to Landorus, right? So that's also pretty interesting. But again, another variant that you're free to experiment with that has had success. It's also interesting to note that this is Strange Steam, right, as opposed to Protect, but that's okay as well. Pomelo over here, 5-2 result in one of his practice tours, was using a Dragonite, Chiyu, Chien-Pao, FlutterMane variant. So it's almost like a 2-2-2 team in a way, right? But it still works. Sludge Bomb with Terra Grass. Okay, so Weezing being weak to ground, Terra Grass can kind of resist that. But here's Tailwind, here's Breaking Swipe. No Landorus again, so another active form of Intimidate. Okay, Terra Fire RoaringMoon as opposed to Terra Poison. Okay, that's pretty interesting. But it makes sense, right? Neutralize the fighting weakness and resist the fairy weakness as well as the ice. So, and then you can't get burned. So, Terra Fire RoaringMoon here actually makes sense a lot. And then here's Chien-Pao here, of course. And then Choice Band Dragonite. We already know what these two can do. Same thing with the Choice Specs FlutterMane and the Chiyu idea, right? So this team from Pomelo also looks pretty strong. Then over here from Mayo, and again, still within the same tour, another Weezing team. But this one featured Ting Lu. Was this first place? I think it was. Let me see. Yeah, it was first place. So welcome back Ting Lu within Regulation E, right? So this is a Choice Band Ting Lu with Terra Dragon. That's pretty good. Well, makes sense. Resist ice, resist grass, resist water. So you have that going for you. Stomping Tantrum, Lash Out, Heavy Slam, and Rock Slide. Okay. Along with Iron Hands, Terra Fire. This has the Volt Switch variant as opposed to Heavy Slam because the Heavy Slam is on the Ting Lu. Standard Weezing set here. Here's the Sinistra, okay, with Light Dew and Trick Room. Okay, this does make sense. Okay, and then Iron Bundle also doesn't really care. So this is another idea that can work with the booster energy. So you have that going for you, and then of course just slap on an Ogerpon, right? So this is actually pretty creative team building from Mayo. So reducing special attack damage. All right, but I do somewhat question it a little bit because the meta right now is not really special. Right, I guess you can reduce FlutterMane damage, you can reduce Chiyu damage, I guess, but it's very physical. So interesting choice in the Ting Lu, but I'm not going to argue against 7-1, right? Then over here, Mr. Carson, 4-2 results. So smaller tour, but similar idea. But now you have the Arcanine as opposed to the Landorus. Still makes sense because now again you have the Fire, Water, Grass core. And if I had to use Wellspring, Orgamass, yeah, then I probably just use the Arcanine just so that I can get that Fire, Water, Grass core. And here's the Acrobatics Terra Flying stuff, Choice Specs FlutterMane with Thunderbolt, okay. Terra Water Weezing, okay. And then this is the Gunk Shot variants. This is Terra Water Iron Hands. Yeah, I mean, I like this team too. Like this is another variation that you can see of Weezing, but still using some familiar cores, right? Then over here, like you can see like a lot of different Weezing teams that people are trying. From Sacramento, this is a Dozo Weezing team, but this is with the Galarian Weezing, right? And it's actually physical. This has Play Rough and Taunt. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, Will-O-Wisp and Taunt, yeah, but this one has Play Rough. So that's pretty cool. And then Life Orb, Grass, Ogerpon. Oh my goodness, right? And here's the Breaking Swipe, RoaringMoon with Terra Poison, Terra Grass, Iron Hands. This is a team, all right? And again from Sacramento Regionals, right? And here's the original Alex Underhill team. So we can even consider building this. But also recently from the Lille tournament, like earlier today, just wrapped up. Here's another one. Okay, here's Arcanine yet again, and here's the Milotic as opposed to the Ogerpon Wellspring. Makes sense because maybe some games you just don't want to bring Weezing. What if you just want to lead RoaringMoon Milotic, with one of these other two Pokemon in the back? Like you can definitely do that, and it makes a lot of sense. Okay, I probably just put Goldengo at that point, right? But this still makes sense. So I do like this from Nicholas. Smart idea there. But again, like you see all the multiple different types of Weezing teams, a lot of familiar cores, especially this FlutterMane, RoaringMoon, Iron Hands idea. It's very easy to use and build around in terms of like building, but of course it all just depends on the player, right? So let's go back into the team builder, and again let's construct two Weezing teams, so this way you can mix and match and see which one or which kinds of sets you like. Okay, so let's actually stick with these four for our first version. So how I want to round out the rest of the team is actually very, very simple. Of course, we're going to slap on Landers here, just to get Intimidate onto the team. And then, because Landers loves to support RoaringMoon and FlutterMane like this, because both of their physical defenses aren't so great. So to be able to support that with this, it just makes sense overall. And then just simply slap on an Ogerpon here, right? The Heart Flame Mask just makes a lot of sense here as well. So pretty much, in terms of like the movesets, so yeah, we can definitely do this. I actually want to save this for the second version. Let's actually do the Gunk Shot variation first, and we'll put the Sludge Bomb into the second paste that we'll give you guys, okay? Then from here, with the RoaringMoon, so I already have Landers, so I'm not going to put Breaking Swipe on this team. So we'll keep it standard here with Acrobatics, Knockoff, Tailwind for speed control, and then Protect. And we'll still go with the Terra Flying option here. By the way, the Ghost option does also make sense. There were some other Terras like Grass, for example, that were also pretty good, even Water, but I think Ghost is still like pretty good. Okay, FlutterMane here, Choice Specs. All right, and then Moonblast, Shadow Ball, Dazzling Gleam, and then Power Gem, for the rock damage into those annoying pesky fire types / Terra fire types like this one. Okay, so we already created this team, so this Pokemon, so that's also pretty good. So here's the ability Shield Landorus, okay, and here's the Stomping Tantrum. Here is the U-turn pivot move, okay, and here is Protect. Right now, again, you have the option. Either you can go Terra Blast, Terra Flying, you can do that, or you can also go with the Rock Tomb speed control move, and then just go Terra Water. And I think I will go that route this time around because, if you're going to be terraing this thing, okay, then this Terra Blast isn't really all that useful. And likewise, if you Terra this Landorus, then you're not really, you can still click Acrobatics, but, it's just not like super amazing, but it's still like pretty good. But I think this just makes the most sense, right? Because now you get Tailwind, and now you can get another form of speed control in Rock Tomb. So that also makes sense. Okay, and then simply the Ogerpon. I just like follow me altogether. Like, I understand Swords Dance, but I'm not going to be intimidated if I have Weezing on the field, right? So I don't really have to worry so much about boosting my attack per se. But again, you can definitely go the Swords Dance variant. I think it makes a lot of sense. Now here, you can go Power Whip, but again, the accuracy thing doesn't really enlighten me all that much. So I'm still going to click Woodhammer. That's still solid. And I say that, as I run Gunk Shot, right? Okay, by the way, if you still like Sludge Bomb here, you can definitely still use the 6, just use Sludge Bomb. But either way, I think this is already pretty good. Now, in terms of an EV set, we'll keep it at 252 HP. Leftovers is still pretty good. I think what we want is a defensive nature, for Impish. So this way we can, invest a little bit, but then put majority into like special defense just to like give it good bulk. So I think for starters, you just go like second bump here. I'm sorry, first bump with 76 investment. This hits that 165 mark. And again, if you don't know what EV bumps are, I always say this in every team building video, but if you don't know what EV bumps are and you're trying to play competitive Pokemon and you're trying to get better at team building, you got to know what EV bumps are. So if you don't know what they are, comment in the video below asking what are EV bumps, and I will give you a very nice explanation as to what they are, and then you will be mind blown. Okay, other than that, I actually want to invest a little bit of speed here. Believe it or not, 68 is what I'm going to go for. And you might say that's actually quite a bit of speed here. And you might say, well, what do we need all this speed for? So the idea with this speed is that 89 under Tailwind will hit 178. Okay, and that does a couple of things. One, that'll outspeed Ninetales. So this way we can hit it really hard with a Gunk Shot / Sludge Bomb. Okay, so deal some big damage first before it gets to click something. And then at the same time, you can also outspeed those Adamant Dondozos, which caps at, I believe, 174. So you outspeed those anyway. And then you can get off a Will-O-Wisp first, even with the Dondozo getting the speed boost, right? They have to be Adamant max speed, right? If they still outspeed you with your Tailwind, then that means they're jolly, right? So, go figure for that. So I think some speed on Weezing is still like pretty good. Okay, and then from there, just dump the rest in Spidef, 1 point in the attack stat. So this way we get a nice 5 stat EV spread. Okay, RoaringMoon here, nothing else we really need to do in terms of like starting off with something complicated. Just do max speed. Let's hit the second benchmark here. in Adamant Nature, put 1 point in the bulk stats, and then just dump the rest here into HP. That's pretty much it. The FlutterMane here, and by the way, 191 is pretty good against like Tyranitar Sand, right? It'll optimize the sand chip damage, which Tyranitar is still coming back now, so you know, it does make a difference. FlutterMane, I'm still going to be using the same timid, bulky FlutterMane set that I've been using for a while. And that's to go to timid 132 here. So 189 will allow you to outspeed the modest max speed FlutterManes, of course. And then this variation of 116, 196 investment allows you to live the Adamant Chen-Pow attacks, you know, whether it be Icicle Crash, Ice Spinner, Sucker Punch, you're going to live it. 1 point in Spadef, and then the rest just gets dumped into special attack like this, right? So, you know, you might say it's a little bit weak of a spread. I'm sorry, of a special attack investment. But I promise you this has worked a lot. All right, and I'd rather have like a bulky FlutterMane that can do damage rather than a dead FlutterMane that can't do any damage, right? Iron Hands stay with the same standard Clover set that we've been doing. You can do 76 investment here, 156 investment here. Okay, 1 point in defense there, and just round it out like this. Now, if you want, you could do the spread that we did in the Salamon's video and just do something like this, where we have 1 point in the HP, okay, and then just have whatchamacallit, just have enough to outspeed a Chi-Yu, right? So you can do something like this, where you know at 84 with Tailwind you'll hit 168, and that allows you to outspeed a Chi-Yu, and then you can click Drain Punch on it, and then you know you surprise them by showing how fast your Iron Hands is, right? So you can definitely do that. And you know what? I will leave it like this. So if you want to change it later on, you can definitely change it later on. Lander is here. So let's go a little bit more bulkier than what we normally do. So I'm still going to go Adamant, of course, with the 116 investment. Then I'll still go right around here, 132. So this way, 128. Okay, so why am I hitting 128? So this way, oops. This way after a -1 with the Rock Tomb, you're going to hit 192. So that's going to also outspeed, you know, some of these other FlutterManes for that matter. You know, you can definitely just still go to like 126, which allows you to outspeed, you know, as well as speed creep the max speed modest flutters, because they hit 187, right? So you're going to outspeed them a little bit. So if you want to do that, you can definitely do that. But I like to do a little bit of speed creeping, so I just do this. Right, and then it just works out perfectly here, because then you have max HP after that, right? So it's a bulky Landorus that's going to be pivoting a lot more often than not than your other, you know, choice Scarf variant. So this also is a pretty good Landorus set that you can use. And then finally the Ogre Pond, simply you can just do a Jolly 252 set. Like, I very rarely do this, right? But I feel like Ogre Pond can get away with this. In terms of, you know, a set, and it's a good starting point, right? If you want my Adamant bulky set, you can definitely do this, where we go to 155 here. Okay, so that'll hit 310, which outspeeds the Iron Bundle under Tailwind, because they hit 309, and then just do something like this, where you have 187. Yeah, you can just do this, right? So in that sense, actually, let's go 60 here. Okay. Yeah, so something like this, where you can just pretty much go... No, let's go second benchmark here. Yeah, this is good. Okay, yeah, there we go. All right, so a little bit of HP bulk here. You're still hitting this 176 mark, which is what you would hit anyway when you're max speed Jolly. Okay, and then you have a little bit more HP to play with. You can definitely do this route, but I think just having a nice even Jolly set is just... it will suffice for what we want it to do, okay? So let me just check the terrace here one more time. Here's water, here's fire. This should be fairy. All right, there we go. That's why we always check. Here's the flying variant, and here is the ghost variant, right? So this is version 1, okay? So we got Weezing, RoaringMoon, Flutter, then Landorus, Iron Hands, of course, and then here's an Ogre Pond here. So you got your Intimidate Pokemon, you got a Redirector here, you got Fake Out Pressure, 2 forms of speed control with Tailwind and Rock Tomb, status effects, you know, with Will-O-Wisp, of course, and then you got Taunt, you know, for a little bit of disruption as well. So you got a lot of these tools that would normally make a very solid VGC team. And then here it is. This is a very standard Weezing archetype. Okay, so this is one form. I want to show you a second variation that you can do with Weezing, and one that involves Rillaboom as opposed to the Iron Hands. Okay, so let's go back into Showdown here. And now for this second variant, this is pretty much the Alex version, but we're going to actually assign EV spreads. But basically, you're still starting up with Weezing, RoaringMoon, and FlutterMane, right? And even the Ogre Pawn is going to come here. Now, what you want to do here, instead of the Iron Hands, we're going to slap on Rillaboom here, okay? And then at the same time, what we're going to also do is just take out the Landers and put the Urshifu, okay? And now some of these sets are actually going to change, right? Just so that I can give you some variants. So instead of Gunk Shot, you can definitely do Sludge Bomb here, which means you're going to have to choose a different nature altogether, right? Actually, will you? Yeah, actually you will. So instead of this, we'll do the minus sign over here, okay? And now you can get the 4 special attack investment here. So this is a bold nature, right? But everything else in terms of bulk still stays the same. Then you can do the RoaringMoon one stays the same. The only thing that will change is instead of acrobatics, we'll have the breaking swipe here. And instead of Terra Fly, we can definitely do the poison variant, right? I think this is still okay. FlutterMane stays the same. Ogre Pawn pretty much stays the same. Actually, the only thing that may change here is, so we do have Woodhammer, and I think we can give up Follow Me here. Let's go Grassy Glide, with the Rillaboom. I still think this is good. Like, I know we lose the redirection, but I still think this is fine. And then the Grassy Surge with Assault Vest. Okay, Terra Fire, Rillaboom. Also Terra Steel works too, by the way. But Fake Out Pressure, Grassy Glide, Woodhammer. Okay, and then what's that move called? High Horsepower, right? You can also use U-Turn here, which also makes sense. If you want like 2 pivoters, with your Rillaboom and Urshifu, you can also definitely do that. But I feel like without the Landers, you kind of still need some ground coverage. So High Horsepower still makes sense. If you don't want Woodhammer here, you can definitely do like Horn Leech, right? This is still okay. In terms of what you want it to do, I don't have a problem with that either, right? Just, it's even getting boosted in the terrain. So you still have Horn Leech and Grassy Glide, so you can give yourself a little bit of longevity. But the Urshifu, this will be Choice Scarf, okay? And, standard set with, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, and then U-Turn over here. So I think this is still fine. Okay, we still have, so the only ones we really need to do EVs for are pretty much the Rillaboom and the Ursh. Which is still relatively easy. So what we want here with the Choice Scarf, kind of like Landers, I'm still going to go Adamant, but Adamant Landorus max speed hits 143, so we're just going to go to 144 just to speed creep that. And then after that, you can just go second benchmark here with the Adamant Nature, 187, a little bit of HP with a little bit of defense. This will survive the Dragonite E-Speed from Chen Hao. And then just put the rest in special defense like this, right? So, a nice good starting point with your Urshifu. Then with Rillaboom, okay, you can still do Adamant Nature here. I like a little bit of investment with our attack here. So I'm going to go the old school Sword and Shield spread, 132 HP, 196 attack, okay, and then a little bit of defense, right? And then some speed def, a nice even number like that, and then some speed here. So 115, pretty good. That'll outspeed the 112s. It'll also outspeed a good amount of Heatrans for that matter. And then we can hit him right back with High Horsepower. So I think that also can come into play. But, this is a nice, solid starting point, okay? And like I said, the other ones pretty much stayed the same. The only thing we adjusted was the movesets, right? So this is version 2, okay? Let me just recheck things one more time before I put it into a paste. Sludge Bomb, Willows, Taunt, Protect. Breaking Swipe here. Flutter stayed the same. This has Grassy Glide now. This is the new set. And yeah, all right. So here's our second version. So we kept a lot of the core. We just added, the Grassy Glide Boys combination along with Urshifu. And this one has the Iron Hands Landers idea with still the Ogre Pawn here with Follow Me. So you can definitely use this as well. But again, feel free to mix and match certain things. Like if you want like Sludge Bomb here as opposed to Gunk Shot, you can definitely do that. If you want like Rillaboom over here as opposed to Iron Hands, also you can definitely do that and keep the Landers as opposed to Urshifu. That also makes sense too. And then feel free to put this as like Breaking Swipe, at the end of the day if you want to do that route. And then make the Landers the Scarf set if that is something that you're interested in. But at the very least, like here's like 2 starting sets that you can use with Weezing and try out. So, I think for a little bit of a quick test battle. You know, we'll just use one of them and see how it goes. All right, let's take a look. All right, so this is just another quick test game. So I do see the Ninetales Articuno there with something like RoaringMoon and Milotic. Okay, that's great. I don't understand the Indeedee or the Brambleghast here. I don't think this is the best of team building. I like the other four. I don't mind it, but I don't think we need Brambleghast or Indeedee here. So right away, Weezing looks really good here. Just the sheer fact that we can take away weather, we can burn the RoaringMoon, the Brambleghast, we can taunt things, right? So either way, that looks pretty good. And then even Iron Hands kind of goes ham here, you know, unless he brings the Indeedee here. So there's the Milotic and there's the RoaringMoon. Iron Hands does very well against a lot of these things. So what I want to do turn one is just fake out the Milotic here and just try and get off a burn on the RoaringMoon. All right, so you know, let's see how we do here. So there's a Protosynthesis, but again, that's still fine. So he does protect turn one. That's good from him. So nothing happens turn one. So we're just gonna try and do again the same thing turn two, except this time we're going to click Wild Charge. He does knock off my Assault Vest. He does go for Coil here. All right, but we do get the Will-O-Wisp off on the RoaringMoon, so that's good. And we still do like pretty good damage into the Milotic here, right? So that also helps. But he does have Citrus Berry here, so also helping him as well. But this is still like pretty good here. So there's the Acrobats not doing a lot of damage. Hydro Pump, we live, right? So there's not a whole lot of investment there in the Milotic. And now we just regain everything back with Drain Punch, you know, getting a lot of health back. So whiffs the Power Whip here. So unfortunate, but you know, either way, we still would have been fine. You know, he freezes me anyway. I do get to click Taunt on the Brambleghast here, so this way I don't get to suffer from Strength Sap shenanigans. There's Poltergeist. We still take it fine. Gets the crit. I was frozen anyway. This actually works out better for me because now I can get in something that can actually attack. All right. Which we do. Here's the Ogre. We're just gonna, you know, protect the Weezing a little bit more for another turn, but this probably was a mistake because he's not really doing damage here with this Poltergeist, right? So, you know, as well as the fact that he's burned, so I could have probably just clicked another poison move there, but either way, it doesn't really make a difference in the grand scheme of things. He brought the Articuno without Ninetales, so that's not great either way. And then Ogerpon pretty much just cleans up 3 of his mons, you know, once we were able to just remove the RoaringMoon, right? So that was the whole idea. And Weezing looked very good, and it stayed on the field for 8 turns, right? So good longevity there. You know, he was unable to break it. We were able to taunt and burn things, and that really helped in terms of longevity there, all right? All right, so once again, here are the pace for both squads. Here's the team that we just tested, the first version with the Lando, Iron Hands, and Ogerpon idea with Gunk Shot, Weezing. Okay, so you can definitely use this one, or you can use something like this with Breaking Swipe, RoaringMoon, with the Rillaboom Urshifu combination yet again. And here's the Ogerpon with Grassy Glide. All right, so a little bit more aggressive of an Ogerpon. And then this is the Sludge Bomb variant with the Weezing, and the FlutterMane pretty much stays the same on both kinds of teams. All right, so choose either one. I think both are very, very strong and you know, for what they can do. But yeah, this is how I would go about using Weezing, you know, in the early get-goes right now. Okay, we'll be back with another video next time. So if you're interested in coaching yet again, you know, for your locals or premier challenges or the upcoming regionals like Toronto, for example, you know, feel free to sign up for coaching on the channel. Check the video description below. There is a link to join the channel with that tier 3 sub, or you can take a look at the comment section. There's also another pinned link that does the same thing. You can click that and still join with the tier 3, or every single video has a join button where if you click that, you're still going to be brought to the same screen where you can select one of the tiers and then just click the tier 3 sub. And then from there, you can message me on Discord. We plan out a time to meet, and then from there, we build the squad that you want. We show you all the EVs from scratch, just like we did in this video. And then hopefully we can get you the squad that you need for whatever purpose you need it for. All right, that's it for now. We'll be back in the next one. Peace out and have a good one.